really like to give up, and they didn't really have that drive.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to ascend.
We kind of just threw at the end.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, MAD were winning 5 versus 3.
Look how quick this one.
Oh!
It was TSM with a strong start to Lotus, their map pick of the series, and YFP, they bounced back. They almost had the comeback, but not quite. Not quite. So close, but not quite there in the end. TSM to take it 13-11. I mean, Dan, you called it early. They called you out for it on air. YFP made you sweat a little bit, but so far, you're almost right.
Fine.
TSM up 1 in the series.
I was so chill watching every single round go the way of YFP in the second half. That I knew the TSM were going to close it out at the end for sure. No, like, what did we just watch? Can we be real? It was a 10-2 half for TSM on the defense. You think you have everything that you could possibly need to close it out in the second half. It's like, okay, Pistols doesn't go your way. It's fine. It was a little bit of a penny insane performance that just kept YFP on this game for so long. But more than that, the 4v5 conversions was just so difficult. And that's exactly what TSM were doing in the first half as well, right? How many rounds did we see where Sim was getting a kill with the... It was one specific too. One kill with the operator towards C, TPs, goes all the way back to A, gets another one. And he was doing this constantly. Now we go into the second half and it's just... the penny showcase of how to open up with the Neon, going in, running it down, and knowing how to deal with these situations of, okay, we know that there's been a few rounds, there's been the bonus, there's been whatever for TSM where they're trying to get back onto it, and Penny just didn't allow them to do anything. It came down to the 2 timeouts pretty much back to back, and the last few rounds, we didn't even know how that last round happened for TSM to go that way, but it was just all about the Duelist, how they were able to show up and get that first numbers advantage, and both of the teams just not really able to recover into it at all. There's a round as well for Penny, that round 22, where he is getting that operator towards C, and then getting that information with the fast rotations, because it seems like TSM were playing scared towards Sand. So you have that info, you have the Teho drone, doesn't spot anybody, you think that's the timing, but they're just missing a lot of the time into the second half, where you think you should be favored, right? You're playing attack, you have Sim on your team, you're able to run it down, but the flooding was really, really good for YFP, just not enough when you have a 10-2. And it's just unreal what we just watched.
No, it's so wild because the fact that it was the 10-2, we saw that YFP was struggling to deal with recoil setup in particular, who went honestly ballistic in that first half, like 15-6, was looking so good. Just not having the same kit where you can, compared to Sim, where you have that Yoru where you can clone up into that wall and have like that follow-up from the rest of the team, was just something that's not possible within the kit of YFP. But the fact that they're able to just switch up the momentum as we get into that second half is insane. And of course, in GMD we trust, because the way that he got them that match point, the way he closed out that map with a couple of those multi-kills as well, he really took matters into his own hands.
Another thing that I want to talk about specifically is Rico. One of the things that we talked about when we went into this game and into this map is, okay, Penny is switching from the Yoru to the Neon. What is he going to do against that setup for TSM on the defense? What is he going to get against the Vice? And actually, Rico was getting some insane value. He was not able to do the same on the attacking side, of course, but on the defense, the reason why they were up 10-2 was because of how he was playing around this wall, and also kind of the lack of information and maybe the awareness for YFP on where this wall was going to be. Penny was going in, constantly being isolated. It was Penny and Jake actually constantly being isolated because they're either running it down with the Neon, TPing into that seaside, and Rico is just farming both of them in a few of those rounds. Then just having some good reads in the ecos. You know that YFP, they like to play towards B, so you have Rico position there, and they were switching the setup up constantly. Again, on the attacking side, it's a different story. It's a Vice on the attack that doesn't really get as much value as you want to, especially because they couldn't really play the post plan that much. But he was a key piece into why they had such a lead that ultimately allows them to close it out even after struggling so much.
I just want to talk about like the haha, look at this super high Duelist number coming out from Penny, and kind of compare and contrast that with what we got to see from Sim from this map. Not because Sim had a bad performance, I just think Penny, despite the loss for YFP, Ash, this was just such a great performance, and Sim definitely as well. I think it was a little bit more of a coordinated effort from TSM's end, whereas for YFP, I mean, Penny is just light years ahead.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the big reason why that comeback was even possible in that second half, right? Dan was already talking a bit about how aggressively he was able to play that in Neon. But what really stood out to me was not just the aggression, but the fact that he consistently kept TSM guessing, because there were rounds where he would get a little bit more aggressive towards Mound, like Dan had been talking about. But then also times where you wouldn't expect the Neon to be sitting so far back. He played a lot of safe positions actually towards tree, triggering that door, and then just having like the smallest of angles that he's holding to be able to get that one pick and then quickly reposition thanks to his kit. And that is where Penny really stood out. Like 7-0 on First Bloods on the defensive side was that the big difference maker here for YFP, and even bringing this to the fake comeback that we saw coming through.
It's something that we talked about, and the casters were actually mentioning very early on as we went into the second half, where we think that map was going to be over in that 10-2. Even if they didn't get the pistol, you do see towards Mound, Penny pushing forward. They're actually forced in that second round, forced in the third one as well. But what really makes a difference is how far in, how far deep Penny is ready for that fight with the Bulldog. Gets to, and even if they don't get that round, that is something that you see constantly as those, 5 rounds that happen right after take place. Looking for that fight and taking that fight to what TSM were doing. That it didn't seem like we didn't see a lot of rebel control early on, a lot of mount control, and it was just because how proactive they wanted to be on the defense, and it's just what you have to do on the Neon as well, but what you have to do to bring it back. And it was a good attempt. It was a fair try, but it was a fake comeback.
It was really close, though. And when we saw the 10-2 half, I was kind of worried for the entirety of the series, because even if we aren't looking at what has historically been a good map for TSM next in the series, I still think any iteration of a 13-3, 13-4 victory would just be dominating. But YFP making it as close as they have, now heading into their map of the series, looking at Haven. Ooh, I've got a lot of questions ahead. First off, Ash, when I look at YFP and Haven, this isn't like the map that I know them for. We haven't really gotten to see actually too much of them, even if we have seen a strong win. And then for TSM, I just have every question in the book because, well, we haven't actually seen them win on it, considering their only win was a forfeit.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is we're kind of in a weird spot for Haven. We touched on it a bit during the pre-show for this particular matchup. And again, that forfeit win for TSM, they generally haven't necessarily looked the most like coordinated here. I think part of that does have to do with the fact that we would see Sim just like getting like having bad spacing with the rest of the team. The rest of the team not really having that follow-up to actually like get onto site with him and assist with those trades and provide that support. And then you look over the side of YFP, where they did manage to take that map up against SRB, you know, the winners of the previous stage, but that was also a Shopify Rebellion Black before we saw them level up late into stage 1 and kind of just like hit that ceiling and break that ceiling for themselves. And it was a very rough match up against Trust and Plug, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I'm thinking back to that one, and it seemed like YFP were a little bit in their heads. Definitely can see that the mental is stronger with the fact that they're able to take that momentum and come back in the second half of Lotus. So I'm looking at improvements there. The communication has looked better on the side of YFP, but Haven is definitely a rocky place, I think, for both these teams to be taking it to. And I do have expectations that both sides have been cooking in the server within scrims during the couple of weeks that they've had off.
Yeah, especially too when I look at this YFP team. Of course, you talk about that rough loss, and yeah, right there with you, right? But that was also over a month ago, and YFP unfortunately didn't make playoffs, which means that they've had a little extra time to cook, right? So obviously, if they are picking this in the series, I definitely believe that there is a great capability here. It's just once we get into the server, how it's executed. And then, Dan, if we're looking at a TSM on the other side that's also been looking to scale up from learning from those mistakes in playoffs, is Haven one of those maps that we really get to see anything of? We have an agent select ready, so we'll send over to that. But I'm still questioning you how you feel about this next one.
Yeah, last time that we saw them play, they lost against Winthrop University at a 13-9, and this one was one of those maps that we first started seeing Sim playing on the Yoru. So if you know one thing about me, well, there's two things that you gotta know about me. One, I like Reyna, but two, I love this double duelist for the side of TSM. I love to see it, and I'm happy that we're gonna see it now. We had our questions. We were just talking about what they were gonna be running, and it's actually Rico and the ISO Sim on the Euro as he was doing before, but they were not playing with this double duelist. Instead, they had Rico on the Cypher, so they're switching up roles a little bit, and that is something that for 7, he's really great. Also flexing. That is something that TSM has that could give them the upper hand. I'm happy to see this composition.
Yeah, I think this is really exciting to see. I even have to highlight Thief going on to this device here. Previously, he was running the Cypher for this squad here on Haven. And I think what's going to be interesting is just, I think a lot of the trap play potential on the side of YFP. Their comms are going to have to be on point to make it work, though. I think Thief had some really great setups on that device on Lotus. And I'm looking for him to replicate that same kind of success. What he was so good at was just being that site anchor, being able to get one and then just somehow slip away into the night and have that survivability to play retake with the team.
Guys, I don't know if it's the Canadian snow outside or if it's TSM playing this double duelist, but I got goosebumps over here. I'm so excited. TSM's such a powerful team that just goes button sometime. I think this is going to work great. I'm excited for it, but it's YFP's pick, so you know that they have ideas up their sleeves. It was so close last time. Let's see if on their own map pick, they can go ahead and take it to a map 3, but it's time to get this started. And back over to your casters, Uber and Wyatt.
Thank you very much. So the third different look here for TSM's Haven in terms of what we've seen from them this year. And while some teams that we see in VCT Americas are taking the ISO Neon comms, the ISO Yoru look still definitely has plenty of value. I'm a little surprised, I think, to see Sim opt for the Yoru over the Neon here. But again, I know TSM definitely have to show us an improvement on this map. It's clearly one they've had to have been trying to retool a little bit in the break that they've had from it. But again, I mean, YFP could quite easily make this a 6-map day for us, Wyatt. It just wouldn't shock me.
Certainly not. I like this comp from TSM, though. I think it's a good switch up. Things haven't worked before. Let's try something new again. And with the way Recoil was shooting on map 1, I am not mad. I'm getting thrown onto a duelist pick. ISO especially, where you really can just lock in on your aim more than anything.
Okay, so YFP here are really trying to make the informed decision. Initially, I think they were poised to try and pop from Garage. TSM are ready for this. This might have come up in scrims, or just maybe they're just read into what we saw on Lotus, because both teams fought each other incessantly for the first 3 rounds of the game. YFP here are just jockeying for position. They want to have that decent player foundation at any of these sites that TSM end up hitting, but we have a quiet push up towards B.
They will be getting this site ultimately for free. I'm sure they do not expect YP to have 4 players, though, stacked up at that AP link ready to fight together.
Yeah, again, this can come back in. The problem is that YFP are all going to be coming from essentially the same direction. Lit as they are and hit by the undercut. Recoil's been able to take a pretty aggressive position, but the double tap does get broken up. He needs to get back to the site, but the spray's coming in through the smoke. Thief and 7 ships in the night. Realize they've got to turn around and fight each other, lest both of them risk getting flanked. And now the full group up here. 7's in a good, decent spot for a crossfire. Why? This isn't over. YFP falling to pieces now. It's up to Stella. And a 1 versus 2 to save the round. Vora?
That was a little bit messy at the very end, but Stellar clutches things out with that 3K. That shot onto Thief by window was pretty sick. Not gonna lie, but ultimately, does not matter. TSM, they had Recoil kind of fighting forward alone. He gets caught, unfortunately, because, like I said, just not expecting to have that many players at the AP link. At that point in the round, 4 people there is kind of crazy. He thought he would be fighting against 1 guy. Like, he could take a swing and there'd be 1 guy, and then maybe someone swinging off them, right? But no. The whole team was there. They were ready to shut him down.
Yeah, that explains why Recoil pushed so far for that kill. Well, RIP Sim. Penny has to get out, but he does escape. Oh, of course, that double tap really important for letting you move into sort of op or outlaw lines and take the first hit. However, Thief has enough bullets to overwhelm Recall pretty quickly, and that sheer wall was deadly effective.
Now, YFP are just going to swing with all three players, make light work of TSM on the eco, and they'll be more than happy to have a pure bonus for round 3. Everything carried over. So far, that Vice finding value. I mean, one of the troubles of running Vice on Haven is just because of the fact that there are so many important lanes to watch that you don't have that second trip when you are typically playing Cypher here to get some of that passive info gain. So we're going to need to see YFP here on defense be really active at gaining information, taking space.
Look at that group up in garage here. So what we saw in the pistol from YFP. Early doors, just waiting for a sound cue out in front of garage and then trying to play off of it. But Gimon here is at the next level of the evolution of that strat, I think. Seems to be able to trigger the sheer wall here, and he does. So that's spotted by Stella. No damage on Sim. Recall definitely still suspicious of this garage part of the map.
Sim is just, of course, able to teleport right away, gather up with the rest of the team. YFP picking an opportune time to send that stealth drone down C long. They realize no one is there, and now Thief is trying to get embedded forward. So YFP can effectively rotate to other parts of the map. Stack up where TSM are actually going to be executing.
Excruciatingly slow round for TSM so far. They know that they're walking into people maybe tucked on corners with this Spectre in play. 2 Bulldogs as well. And they want a clean round. They really don't want to have to walk into YFP's gun round with only, like 2 or 3 of these Vandals.
This is dangerous because time is getting low, and yeah, now that Razorvine is going to slow them up even further. They're going to have about 20 seconds, but making light work of Penny. The site should be easy to crack open.
That's the Outlaw out of the game for the time being. Not that it would have mattered. Recoil happy to stand and fight now. No double taps available, but still, YFP now forced to retake here on A side Haven. Never great, especially not with, well, a Spectre and a Bulldog to work with. TSM might get their wish and actually end up with a clean buy here. One that can match what YFP will inevitably go to in the next round. There's an aftershock for B-Dog now. He's got to use this wisely to force a position. Even with 3 weapons, YFP can't be favoring themselves here.
Certainly not. They'd be content just to, at this juncture, take guns away from TSM as they attempt to get out of their sight. There's the first. B-Dog shuts down Recoil. If they try to get out towards Sewer, Thief is here, and Stellar realizes now that they're going to head that way, double up. They can do some serious damage.
Or 7 could knock him down pretty much straight away. The 3 rifles to take him to the next tier. I think you're happy actually with how the round ended for YFP, considering how hard it would be to try and commit to the A side and make something happen there. TSM, of course, still in decent shape here, but YFP want to keep their foot on the gas. It's about having a nasty round here. Recall has to go for a shorty by the looks of things, but he's able to get a Vandal in, rather Phantom, in his hands. And kill contract is 1 away, so keep that one in mind.
You're going to see TSM wanting to pick up shorties when they have the money, just on account of Thief running that Steel Garden, running the Vice rather, and having the Steel Garden. So important to have a decent pistol if you can afford it in those situations, but he is still only halfway to getting that ultimate. TSM, again, just playing slow. More patient than we saw back on map 1.
Yeah, I mean, they are really slowing the game down. Why? They ended up hitting that A site with 20 seconds left in the last round. And there's a risk against this YFP comp that you just get perma-stalled. Honestly, you want to try and pressure the open spots as much as you can, as crazy as that sounds. And again, Recall knows that if they have to go fishing, if they have to go speculating, there's an orb in hand that kill contract can give TSM a way into these rounds. They are so patient. It is like teeth being pulled. I think they might have heard a little bit of sound though over towards this courtyard area. And he's going to see it here. The corner of Sim, it looks like he actually had a flash in his hand there. Or threw out the gate crash. Either way, punished big time.
TSM, they have simply cut noise down to 30 seconds in the round. They weren't really exploring elsewhere. Penny wants to swing again, but blinded up, forced back. And YFP, they should have full intention of just playing this for the 5 versus 4 man advantage retake, trade things down, win the round by virtue of the numbers.
Recall got the space. Reluctant to give it up here. YFP hoping that TSM do what they sort of did back towards the pistol and push off the site into them. That's not going to happen. That means YFP have a chance to set up this nasty little useful combo that forces Recall off the right. I think Gimon doesn't realize that Recall can't watch that. Or the call isn't coming quickly enough. Either way, caught with their pants down. What a flawless retake. So far, at least, but it's up to 7, who's very much on the outside of this situation. And also being the one player down to 300 might just not want to go for this at all.
He's just going to save it over. Simply has no chance. And now TSM, economically, they could try to force. You know, if 7 didn't carry that gun over, I don't think it would have been realistic at all, frankly, but it'll only be a GMD with a bad weapon now. They can try to risk it. Matter of fact, I think they're going to want to risk it just additionally because they have the kill contract ready for recoil, so can get that off during an execute.
A pretty quick play up here.
Okay, one guy with a bad weapon, doesn't matter.
Here's the kill contract now as well. Stella, not a darn thing you can do about it. Double tap secured for Recall as he heads on out of the Shadow Realm now when it's YFP whittled down to 3. Here's Penny, good line, but shoots the clone. Information handed over now. And that will be TSM happy just to bully their way into this A site. And that's that. We've gone from very, very slow rounds to TSM sending Gimond in like a bat out of hell, breaking the conditioning for the defenders.
That was some really lovely little movement from Vora there. When he was taking that duel against Penny coming out of sewer, he went for the little jiggle peek. He gets Penny firing, then he swings wider. Really easy kill for him. It's cool to see. The individual talent is certainly there. You would never doubt that with TSM. That's never been the case. It's always been about being, you know, the best unit possible. They have never had a lack of individual firepower.
That's very true. They've got to be feeling pretty happy off the previous round, though. Having a Stinger, getting traded up instantly to a rifle, and then getting a great opening off that kill contract. And he correctly identifies that Yoru does not pass the Turing test. Don't know how many Ascendants would, in fairness, but...
And TSM said, what if we chill and spawn?
Okay, you know what? That's
Consider
fine. I've been looking
this.
to test some new material anyway, so...
What if we drone to re-clear mid after
Okay.
sitting in spawn for 40 seconds?
Now, this stall, though, becomes more problematic because obviously Jake is still going to be throwing that out off, you know, cooldown, essentially. 45 seconds left. Yeah, getting closer, ever so closer to sniffing a whiff of the B site. There's Penny on a timing. Boy, they're just not able to respond. Penny now can wrap around and see it all. Recall is double tap at the moment. Looks like he might not be wanting to challenge that out, and we do see the Armageddon committed by Stella. More stall for the stall god. 30 seconds left in the round. There's Sim, though. Okay, getting into the game in a big way. Stella has been handled. We are going to have a plant. Retake now, and Gimon is going to actually push off. This time, the YFP haven't got anything set up. They're not ready for Gimon. The engine room lights him up. And Penny is a long way away from the action.
Might be able to catch a free kill if he attempted to go through window, but ultimately deciding that that would not be the wise economic choice because YFP are going to have a terrible buy coming up into this next one.
Last player standing.
Okay.
Interesting. All right.
Weapons, a little overrated.
That's
Some would say
a bit unfortunate.
some would say that the pen is mightier than the sword. So I hope the YFP are going to write a strong worded letter to TSM in this round because that's all they've really got to work with.
Well, Stellar can afford a rifle, so that's nice.
Okay.
You know, and we've got a Stinger. Okay, great.
The rest of his team off to Temu. I mean, can I just point out the ridiculousness of the contrast between TSM's play pace between Lotus and Haven? Like,
it is insane. Who are these guys? What team is this?
Because normally, like, okay, so obviously you will change your approaches on different maps, but to have such a wholesale difference that feels almost fundamental in how blatant it is kind of shocking. TSM, like, they've been, I mean, credit to them. They are very disciplined in how they're playing out these rounds. Like really, really meticulous.
Yeah, listen, I do respect that they're trying to do, well, okay. Speaking of meticulous,
Contact pushes.
but at least the trade is found. And TSM, they don't want to capitalize off that. They, or, you know, not that they could have. There are only 2 players there, rather. They play it safe and
they get what they want.
Just regroup. In their favorite location, their spawn.
Yeah, their spawn. It's a half buy, though. So they're correct in assuming the YFP are probably going to have to take some risks because they're util light to get information midway through the round. So this very slow approach has paid off for them now. This is not a fake over towards the A side.
This could actually be dangerous. YFP, they're trying to get in, and 7 isn't with the team right now.
I mean, recall, like, hindquarters may as well be made of concrete that was labored into A, but
30 seconds
you were
left.
worried about, you know, TSM walking into something, they do sniff it out. 7 is potential to be a real nuisance, and he hears this rotate back through spawn. That is so nice. Oh, and he gets himself one.
Okay,
even if it's traded out, I mean, damage is well and truly already done.
Love to see how TSM were able to work the map there. They were just dragging YFP around, knew exactly what they were doing to those defensive rotates.
One enemy remaining.
No one escapes
all right.
sight. No.
But all good. TSM, you know, they played that pretty well. Despite losing that one duel, got worried for but a moment. That's going to force YFP into the timeout.
No worries. I mean, YFP have to call at this point. TSM have definitely been sort of causing them some problems with their pace. In fairness, right? This is kind of something we talked about with rankers, that it wasn't really until teams started really slowing the game down that they were able to unravel it. And all of a sudden, a team that was so dominant at the start of stage 1 ended up falling flat as they headed over towards those playoffs here. Now, YFP probably have a couple more dimensions than this, and you'll note that they're not being psychotic as they run across the map.
Last player standing.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we have so much time in this game, honestly. Like, we could treat this like a late-night radio show.
No, I might do the NYT mini cross in the first...
okay.
I have time for the mini crossword. I probably have time for connections while TSM are setting up to hit a site.
We'll see how slow this round is. Otherwise, I'm gonna hit you with a late night radio intro. Let's see. Hunter's Fury and Dimensional Drift available on the TSM side of things. So again, Sim can get deep and start to read some of this like defensive setup early.
The old run around with the Dimensional Drift, spam the ping button, and then your Sova gets a kill with the ultimate. The classic maneuver.
Default line towards the A side of the map. Sim seeing a lot of ordnance bloom around him. But yeah, still pretty slow start to the game. And that's probably not going to change anytime soon.
Who's next?
A gate crash into... Okay, that is, I love that. Okay, gate crash taken, of course, just to get Sim pretty deep here. So Dimensional Drift means that TSM don't have to play that labored... I love it. I love that so much. Just ping out the Omen. Okay, Sim trades his life for a bit of space.
And there it is. The classic play. And TSM are in this 4-on-3. Wow, middle of the Steel Guard and into the Rolling Thunder. 3 versus 4. Must win now for YFP. This investment is massive.
Ping down. Easy kill for 7 to play off the trip in a second there as well. It's all gone wrong for YFP. Big timeout that they took. A very pregnant pause in gameplay. And TSM here, I wouldn't say they're, red hot pace, but they've got ultimates that mean that they don't have to sit around and maybe wait for a tip-off or wait for information.
7 as well, just having enough cash to get the share of secondary, so when the Steel Guardian comes out, he's got a decent enough weapon and he kills 2 people with it. So a little heads-up play to make sure your armory is stocked up when the Vice is on the field, which I do think is contributing to their slow style of play at the moment. They do really want to find out where that Vice is and avoid all of the Razor Vines, which I think they've done, I want to say almost every single round, if not all of them. Has there been a situation where they've ran into the Razor Vines and are getting stuffed at a choke? I don't think so. They've been getting that sheer wall out as well. I mean, I say that, and they're about to go run into the
They
Razor
hit
Runs
the
this
bicep.
round. So, you know, classic.
But again, like, what's the tip off for them here? Let's see if they actually end up seeing this. The sheer wall is in such a place that you're already committed if you are tripping that. So it's bound to catch something. Okay, Thief gets spotted. So they know. They know. They don't seem to care at all. Thief gets bowled over instantly. B-Dog here inside the smoke wants to try and be in the sight here. Sim is just limit testing this game. And you know what? I'm here for it.
That is disrespectful and I would say uncalled for. Also not recommended that you go for a move like that, but Sim
However,
is 1 of 1.
It's characteristic. Yes. Characteristic
One
there from
enemy
Sim,
remaining.
Vora.
Oh my god.
Life comes at you fast and so does the ground sometimes. Gravity is a hell of a drug, folks. Penny will fall and may have TSM getting out to a 3-round lead on this YFP map pick. Okay. I'm telling you, I'm starting to think of this late night Valorant talk show. I'm spinning up in my head.
I'm sorry, I'm having a giggle at that one. If only TMV were co-streaming this. It is an iconic clip of doing the exact same thing.
You know, I kind of get it. You're trying to retake. Your opponent's under
Man,
paranoia.
he even hit like a 180. Damn, that was smooth.
It's the confidence of an Olympic diver before hitting a fat belly flop, right?
Me, when I have 17 HP and I fall off Badlands Spire. Hate to see that happen.
Such a deep cut. Okay. There's Steve. This time tries to get active in that position as opposed to being spotted out by an owl drone. And that'll go nearly as well. Here's Jake to the Shadow Realm with you. The Millennium Puzzle threatens to trap you for all eternity. And so Recoil will have his kill. It's down to Penny and Stella, who are on the wrong side of the map for this.
Spike planted.
Flora's going to be able to get a plant down, and it's an easy C-long play with someone positioned here on the B side to hear the footsteps from spawn.
And Seller has to use that stealth run to clear garage, so GMD chilling. But Penny is ready for that because, well, TSM, they have gone for those late B flanks before. Has the intuitive timing for it. Recoil, he still has that suppress up.
Undercut shock.
Yeah, GG on that one.
Bad. Okay, Penny avoids it. Slows him down, though. Another tap. Recoil probably able to communicate. Pushing down C-long. Okay, a little awkward stuff that he used. Stella! Oh, Recoil!
God.
He's a little crispy with it. I guess the name is supposed to be like a oxymoron or something like that. Very, very sharp. Damn. 6 rounds in a row for TSM.
These guys are looking hella good, not gonna lie. It feels like they've unlocked a new side of themselves where they can play the game in a more methodical way than you would typically associate with this TSM squad. And by typically associate, I mean that you would associate with them over pretty much most of the course of this team's existence since 2024. I do like what I'm seeing. They are playing quite well. Feels like they've also just finally unlocked how to play Haven.
Yes. Honestly, it looks so good, these attack side rounds. Now, we're still a round or so away from getting back to another dimensional drift attack side, but Penny can go hunting. Young Paperboy out on his rounds. What's the scoop, brother? Okay, he's going to emerge. Actually,
Don't, yeah, I can't recommend that one. That is tough. Yikes. You hate to see that. Penny has been a superstar in this series,
Yes,
if we're being
genuinely.
real. But maybe trying to really be a superstar again and
it's just, I mean, again,
make things happen, you know?
yeah, he's trying.
I'm not mad at that.
Trying to do a lot. I respect it. Ooh, dangerous hit for 7. My boyfriend is so good. He gets ahead of it. Oh, unfortunately, caught inside the salvos there. Stella's thinking about it. He's going to jump. Rolling Thunder here, of course, not on the table. Fault line going to be used, though, at least to try and unseat people. Stella's able to deal with Vora. Still positioned up towards the okay. Uncanny, some of these wall bangs. Spike is loose, away from both Recoil and Gimon, and there's not enough time left for anything to be done, so we'll just let bygones be bygones and move along to round number 12. TSM finally have that win streak snap.
Last round in the half.
And not bad from YFP, just flooding back into that site together on a nice timing. all there to group up and fight TSM as they're trying to get out of the chokes, which is another situation they haven't been in too often. Been a lot of retake situations, not a lot of opportunity to actually flood and fight, because TSM have just done such a great job at finding the holes in the defense.
Yeah.
But when have they hit a heavy site? It's been so rare.
Yeah,
and I
honestly,
say that
like,
and watch them run into the 3-stack real quick.
okay, orb here though for Sim. The Dimensional Drift online. Penny again just exits the round early. This has been very difficult for him. Okay, TP had to come out there. Nicely done by Jake, avoids the shocky. Devious little Razorvine placement there, but here's that Dimensional Drift. So, YFP's plan's about to be laid bare. I don't think Sim's going to be surprised to see any of this, though. Seven's going to try and get out of... Oh, okay, so give the Aura a place to emerge from. I love that! They're going to try and play out of Garage here, but B-Dog finds the timing on them. Starts the wrap from Garage itself. Sim finds Thief, though. Now, 2 versus 2 scenario where Sim is racking them up. Seven gets there. Has been facilitating this Yoru all round. Started from giving the Cyber Cage to get out of Garage, and there Sim can set up for the post-plant position, but Seven's still got to get that spike. Sim opts to come back down C-Long and pick it up.
Stellar has a ton of util to work with right now, and he finds that first kill.
Whoa, the bloody smooths, bro. Ankle breaking stuff from Sim. 3 kills in the round.
He really just drags TSM back into that. He takes 2 1v1s back-to-back, wins them both. Had that timing to take the fighting of a player that was coming in from Garage when he was around default on C site. And then him and Seven double up to swing back site together as well. Some good fundamentals from 2 of the OG TSM players there.
Oh, man. Yeah, tough one. Again, that's Phantom Spray can sometimes betray you. Solid first half there from TSM after, I know, like losing the pistol round. Very reasonable. We just don't know what to expect from these guys in terms of the Haven map.
I mean, that is crazy, right? They lose the pistol. They get 8. I mean, you know, the old, well, what would have happened if they won the pistol? But, I mean, actually, though, that's half of a YFP's rounds.
All right. Sim's going to flash himself here into lobby. This is not the quietest of approaches, so YFP very incentivized to head towards B, but it is a bit of a funnel. Rear TSM players ready for it. Jake wants to get ahead of the util here and is able to get onto the site. Oh, what? He didn't stick it. Okay. Well, Jake tries to push off, but maybe looking... Oh, God, I don't know what happened there. Sim able to crawl over this site now, and it's up to Thief.
Oh, that is disastrous. He felt like he was just under too much pressure, couldn't get the spike down. He gets the first.
I'm going to find more, though, and here is Sim and Seven pushing for it. Sim deals with Thief, and that is a disaster for YFP to lose the pistol there.
Yeah,
and again, they hear this action.
Like raps.
They hear this action, aim lobby. So I get why they want to go over to B, but what happens there with Jake? He opts to stop planning and, like, push up. Is it util coming?
I think he was, just under the impression that there was going to be some util coming in. He was really low.
Oh, it's a shock.
Probably worried about another shock dart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he just got scared, little anxiety trying to get the spike down, goes up, walks into the spam. I mean, that's just unfortunate. I mean, you can't blame him for having that natural reaction in this situation. It's just pretty unfortunate. And boy, did TSM capitalize there. So proactive after the fact.
Seven, who is topping the scoreboard right now, chat. Our boyfriend is so good.
What?
There's Sim, though. Go with it. Penny picked off here, though, by Sim at the start of the round, though. The Outlaw able to peer in towards Garage now, and we will see TSM try and match the moves of YFP across the map. Jake gets to the B side now. Obviously, still needs to be concerned about the util that would come to interrupt the plant, but he sticks it anyway. And there's Seven again. Absolute menace. This time with the Spectre.
1 enemy remaining.
Here it is. Yeah, another one for TSM. Getting him to 10. And YFP have been so lifeless here after, honestly, the first 3 rounds of the game, Wyatt. I don't know where they've been.
Certainly. And, well, at least they do get the plant down on this force, so their economy won't be completely egregious. But unfortunately, YFP in this game, they are not for 2 on the we lost a pistol, let's force round 2 attempts. And now, of course, because of the loss bonus, run it back. We've got 5 stingers yet again. But, you know, at that deficit, I can't be mad at them for attempting to go for the 4 spy. You know, they're getting into B. They're getting the Razor Vines down, which do stop TSM from trying to flood in. You know, that provides some safety for getting the spike in. That's the nice thing about having the Vice, but ultimately in the post plants, they are falling to pieces.
Honestly, like, there's not a ton of retake utility in TSM's comp. It's just not built for it. But you have, like, undercut, shock dart, a little bit. But again, YFP trying to get a post plant scenario seems to make sense, especially with their setup. Perfect for stalling and punishing a defuse attempt.
Okay, so YFP, they take some instant control towards Garage, wanting to fight that area of the map. And in the meantime, they had a couple players gathered up to just take A long straight after the fact. But TSM, they are prepared for this. They're trying to get 3 players ready to anchor this site.
Sim. Oh, okay. Penny does follow that up. Gets to the back of the site here, but beautiful off angle. That one way is brutal. Vora just makes a meal out of YFP. And unfortunately, this little Stinger Gambit does not pay off.
Boy,
and
I'm
that buffer is getting
TSM
thinner.
to win. I am glad I made the correct prediction with TSM. Right?
Imagine being
right
Ash.
Ash.
Crazy. The big 2025 being Ash right now probably doesn't feel superb.
You know, I thought B-Dog coming back, the whole thing. Remember Furia? You remember the good old days, Mitch, when these guys beat 2G?
Oh, dude, yeah. That one game.
I thought we were going to harken back to the good old days, but no, we haven't. But I do like to see TSM playing at this quality.
Yeah, again, I'm not. Am I? I'm not. There's been a couple of inexplicable things we saw from YFP, maybe on the previous map, but like it is. These guys are probably amongst the most experienced players in America, right? In this region. I imagine they have to be able to put it together.
One enemy remaining.
There's your highlights, of course, over the last few rounds. And TSM, honestly, on this defense side, hard to deal with. YFP have been, getting the spike down on an occasion, right? But honestly, the game plan always seems to have been, Wyatt, this pivot over towards B, which, can I be honest with you, extremely reminiscent of what we saw in Lotus.
Yeah, really. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. It really is. This YFP team, they have been struggling to get TSM to actually rotate away from their intended site to execute upon. All right, at the opening of this out of the timeout, TSM, they have decided to push ahead of the Taeho utilities. Sim, here's that stealth drone cross to sewer, so he feels like, hey, I can take even more space. We have the dark cover down. Why not?
No, the assumption for Stellar is that TSM respect the util, but they were yours. So they can always to some degree play around it. Oy, awkward clone, okay. Pivot back towards the B side of the map here, recoil. A little awkward. Double tap though. Active and he's ready to fight. Here's 7 though. Absolutely rolls them. Finding 3. Just an incredible map from this guy who we were obviously gassing up for being mega flexible and moving over to Senti here. And well, suffice to say that the location has been taken note of. Recoil is the one that capitalizes.
He hits them with the perfect spray transfer. Has an assumption that B-Dog will be tucked towards the left side of B main as well. Reads that correctly. 18 and 7 yeah, 18 and 7 for a player that I was about to say something about his, how would you say, I don't know, length of time playing Valorant, because for some reason in my brain he's still like a rookie, because I still remember those days, the olden days where he was like a hyped upcoming Duelist player, and now he's kind of a vet, which is crazy. This guy's been competing for a long time now.
Yep, you're dead right. TSM with this ISO Euro comp has been so good. I mean, sorry, as I remember, it's the old Fnatic comp, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
I love it. Penny's going to get out, though. Doesn't quite feel comfortable about the stability of things on this A side once he gets into TSM. Look at him flooding in right now. In fact, here comes Sim for 2 and recoil once again. See you later, Maximilian Pegasus. You're cooked. B-Dog, the newest edition, makes a swift exit and makes it painless at least. TSM absolutely turned YFP into pretzels.
Gotta say, that's honestly pretty shocking result. Both matches today, shocking result. I would not have thought, like, you tell me TSM win, okay, cool. But to win in that dominant fashion is pretty crazy. First map, sure, 13-11, but that was a fake comeback. But still, though, I mean, credit to YFP for getting it there, but Haven is a blowout. And that, bear in mind as well, is TSM coming off of losing Haven to both Envy and Winthrop. The last 2 times they played it, they're running different comps both times. Feels like they just can't find their footing on this map. And now they look insane on it. And it wasn't their pick. That was the pick of YFP. So a lot to be excited about for this TSM squad, who also just displayed a much different pace on Haven. They're getting some different attributes to their play.
I mean, it was on the attack side. They slowed it down so beautifully, and then they go for it on their defense. They do find these windows in order to make things happen. I love the fact that they refuse to get caught outside of the C side, the A side rather, when it comes to retakes. They flood in as that hit is coming. They've got the stall util to back it up. Really impressed with what we saw from this team, but I've been really impressed with TSM before. A lot of times, actually. Been very impressed with this team and then, disappointed. So obviously, it's about peaking at the right time here in Valorant Challengers, but this is a great start, a great game to take, and a great pred to get right, if I do say so myself. Feels good to not be 0 from 2 today. Anyway, folks, been great to have you here in the commentary booth. We'll see you guys on another show somewhere else. For now, though, we're going to, of course, head back to our desk and break down the day that was.
Yeah, I would never go on the Preds.
Not a thing
I would never do that.
give up, and they didn't really have that drive.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to send. We kind of just threw at the end.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, MAD were winning 5 versus 3.
Look how quick this one.
Oh!
To the second map of the series with Haven, and swiftly answered by TSM here. They're looking so strong with this double duelist, little role swap in. Then it's going to be a clean 2-0 to be ending off our night. TSM, I think, deserving a spot in one of those top 3.
Oh, yeah. They look really good, and I love what we got to see in Haven. We had our questions about, okay, we're excited about this duelist, this double duelist, but how are they going to implement it? And they did it in such a unique way as well, right? They were barely getting any map control towards the beginning of those rounds, and then going for it, having to redrone. It seems like other teams would have taken advantage of that, right? On the defense side, be a little bit more aggressive, and that's a lot of the times what happened, right? Being able to punish that early on, getting that first pick, and then Seven constantly having some great timings on the flank, on the lurk to get those last couple kills for the post plant. It was really, really well played, and it was not the extremely aggressive style that we could have expected. It was just on a macro level so much better.
It really was. And that's kind of how you have to play up against that YFP comp, right? They had a really good read as far as what YFP wanted to do on defense, expecting that they did have to do a little bit of searching for where that Vice was going to be playing, trying to either break that setup or avoid it. And then just knowing that YFP are forced to play that push and pull because they lack a lot of that information. They have to take control of some of those extremities. And that's why you would see TSM kind of baiting out some of that util, whether it was showing that early presence, then looking for the rotation, or their general slow defaults. Because when it comes to YFP's composition, aside from, the Arc Rose for Thief, you literally only got the Teho drone to get you any information. And it felt like it was just such a repeated pattern where Stellar would be throwing that out 30 seconds into every single defense round when TSM was starving them of that info. And then off of that information, they know, okay, Stellar's usually playing a bit more of that weaker side. They'd either hit into him or just try and re-clear that space afterwards because they really didn't have any other utility to garner that information on defense, and TSM take full advantage of that.
They really do. And I mean, TSM's a team too that if you are going to open the door to let them get away with it, they will get away with it. And I think for TSM, this was such a nice victory after their early departure from the playoffs to really just showcase, okay, yeah, Haven isn't necessarily a weak point. They can bring out a double duelist, which we haven't seen from them before. They can get this little role swapping, and it's going to be turning out. So I'm liking that as this TSM roster goes on, we get to see a little bit more layers to this with Recoil and Vora coming in. And this will be just super great all around. I mean, Dan, just across the board, this team's looking so strong. And yeah, YFP, I mean, Stellar, Penny tried to put up a fight here, but it just wasn't enough.
No, it wasn't enough. Again, it was a TSM that was always one step ahead on how they wanted to play these rounds from the very, very slow starts towards the beginning of the attacking side to, again, the 7 Cypher catching really, really nice timings into one or the two players. And then you also saw when it came down to the 1v2s to the 2v2s, they were winning, it seems like every single one of them. So it just seems like it was a perfect game of Valorant. Everything was going right. And when things get tricky, when you get to see the straights coming back and forth, it was still a TSM getting away with the wins. I love to see Seven once again showing how flexible he can be, because the entirety of last year, our narrative was like, Seven is insane. He's doing so good. He's the Gecko God. Nobody can shut him down on this agent. Then he went into playing a couple other initiators, but we know, I mean, if you look at the agents that he's played throughout his career, that Wyatt was talking about, how long he's been playing this game, he's able to play anything, and he just proved it with the Cypher. It was unreal.
Yeah, I kind of forget sometimes, how experienced he is. I was like, oh, okay, this Cypher. And then I look back at everything he's played. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, he's literally played anything at any point. Seven can literally just agent roulette it, and I think it's just going to be turning out fine. But being able to see that there is these flexible players on this team that, yeah, TSM can show up for a variety of different looks, and it's going to be working out. So congratulations to them on that second map and the series overall. But we're talking about everything about Seven. Might as well talk to him as he's on the line now for our post-match interview. So let's head on over to that. Get a couple thoughts. Hello. How is it going after this series? That is a great way to be starting off the stage too.
Pretty glad. I'm really good. Glad we started off with caught. Would have sucked if we sucked again. Especially losing as we did in playoffs. Feels good. Feels good.
And I have a question as well. You told our production or something it was going to take you a minute to show up because you were brushing your hair. When did this happen? Looks good, but when did this happen?
This happened, I want to say 2 weeks ago. My hair was just getting too long, and I didn't want to trim it no more. And then, you know what? I just the whole thing just came off.
It's starting to get warmer outside, so honestly, super valid there. But okay, back to the match. Just had to ask there. So let's talk a little bit about this evolution of this team to now in comparison to playoffs, because I know that definitely wasn't the exit that you wanted, but we got to see a couple of teams that kind of switched things up going now into the stage 2, sometimes changed the roster, etc. But TSM, you get to just run it back, all the same 5 players. Like, was there any decision making there? Or is like, no, we believe in this core?
Oh, 100%. We believe in our team. Like, without a doubt, we are incredibly talented. We have insane potential. There is absolutely no way that, like, I think, like, we don't stick as a 5, at least for the split.
I love to hear about that potential and just the belief in the team, especially being able to see a little bit of a different look. Talking about this Haven, this was a double duelist. We get to see you on the Cypher. We see Recoil on this ISO. When was this figured out? It looked really clean, but it was definitely something that caught us a little by surprise.
Well, all of our comms come from our coach. I think he does a phenomenal job at, like, I guess bringing out all, like, the best of our, like, abilities. And, you know, we test here a lot. This comp, that comp, and we just kind of figure out what's best for us. And, you know, again, thank you to our coach. He makes, like, all of our comps. He's insane. And this just kind of fit best with the team, and it worked out.
I mean, loving the comp and glad it's been working out. And I want to talk to about kind of lessons learned from this playoffs going on forward into the season. If you're staying with the roster, is there anything that was kind of discussed, like, oh, we need to switch this up? Or if it was just like a, hey, this team just needs a little bit more time to cook, but...
Definitely a lot of improvement from, like, our mental side. I think we had, I guess, low confidence in playoffs, I'd say, which is strange, but, like, looking back at it, we definitely weren't playing like ourselves. I think with more reps, more time, and just more everything, we'll be great.
I'm definitely looking forward to it, especially seeing this group of 5 run it back has been awesome, and great victory today. Seven, thank you so much for chatting. Best of luck with your next match. Have a good night, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Back over to the desk for us. And I lied a little bit. It was not Seven who told production he needed a moment. It was a teammate that said Seven needed a moment to go brush his hair. I can't be caught as a liar here out on this broadcast. But hey, the team's not switching stuff up, just the hair. But running it back, Ash, I think has been a really good look for the team. This TSM's looking strong, talking about the confidence. Excited for this TSM going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I really love is just always hearing these teams who do end up sticking together have just like full faith in that project for the long term. They are confident in the foundation that they've built up, and they know that they're just going to scale up from here. And we are seeing it. Like, this Haven is night and day from the Haven that I feel like we saw from TSM during Split 1. And I'm excited to see them continue to grow as a squad and really continue to work on this project going forward.
And pulling up the brackets, we kind of talk a little bit about today. I mean, there is the 2-0 that we were talking about, TSM, just that second map was just crazy. But the way we started this day, remember, it was just absolute insanity with Ambrosia with this 2-1 victory. But results in, Dan, from the side stream matches as well. And even if on the official broadcast, we ended up having maybe what was a little bit of an unexpected, though really fun result, the rest of the matches kind of seem to line up with where we thought they would.
Except they do not line up on the left side, but, you know, that's fine. It's fine. M80, you know, things that we need to work on, but just because of the graphic and how the colors look, but it's all good. I think we actually had the only 2-1 matchup today with the Ambrosia and M80. All the other ones were 2-0, and as you said, all those matches were the results that we would have predicted, unless you are Wyatt and Ash and put YFP.
Yo. I don't know what you're talking about.
Should I remind you that we all got the M80 Ambrosia one wrong? Like, we
that's
all
true,
fumbled.
but it doesn't count. If we're all wrong, no one's wrong. You know what I mean?
I like it. Okay.
Well,
Hey.
You guys are agreeing. Crazy.
Once in a while, me and Dan have to come together and agree for the greater good of the broadcast. Other times we have to argue just to make it fun. You know, it's just keep everyone on their toes. But as fun as today has been with these matches, unfortunately, that is it for the Valorant that we have today. Of course, there's going to be more tomorrow, so make sure to come back. Stay tuned. Until then, have a great night. Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Sort of B-sides post-plant protocol's concerned. Here's Nama getting out. It's going to clear Speedway out entirely. One will come from the attack side though. And wow, Manny really able to capitalize on it there. Players forced out. Big time. Falcon set up a retake balls here to potentially cut off B main. Or even the backside of the side, but it's going to be awkward. Acreon's able to take their chances now. Beautiful three-piece so far. And MA can really only look on. Try and slow down the jump.
Quite in name. Easy pinch for Ambrosia. It's the speed, the neon. Tweaking for real.
I'm tweaking out about this game.
Yeah, certainly the experts came into this saying MAD will win this 2-0. What was the prediction from Dan Dryad again before this day started?
I actually don't know. Was it a
2-0?
Yeah, I want to say it was. I don't think she said who would be doing the 2-0, right? And now, yeah, TSM have the plant, but they just have Sim plucked from their midst. Someone who's struggled. We're dealing with the other side of the Sim effect of these last couple of rounds, but there's Gimon. Oh, faithful, baby. Always delivers. Wind him up and he will go for it. Stella gets flattened. Oh, the fakest of fake comebacks I've ever seen, TSM. Close them up. 13. I think it's yours. So we can always just something to replay around it. Ooh, awkward clone. Okay. Pivot back towards the B side of the map. Here, recoil. A little awkward. Double tap, though. Activity's ready to fight. Here's 7, though. Absolutely rolls them. Finding 3. Just an incredible map from this guy who we were obviously gassing up for being mega flexible and moving over to Senti here. And well, suffice to say that the location has been taken note of. He's sort of beat